Kwao. Coming up tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission to decide on payment date for customers of defunct fund management firms by the end of this month. Also coming up, Bank of Ghana posts strong pickup in profits but recommends no dividend payment to government. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details right after the break. Now, insurance expert Aboagye-Wiafe has urged insurance companies to introduce innovative products to support individuals and businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In the wake of the pandemic, which has led to most individuals losing their jobs, Mr. Wiafe believes the traditional way of underwriting businesses is making insurance a disincentive.
COVID-19 has come up. All right. You have situations where the hospitality industry is virtually non-existent. All right. The aviation industry is suffering. Okay. You want to look at other areas like nightclubs. People have
that value chain has been completely, impacted.
At the end of the day, the existence of these companies pay premiums to you. So, okay, let's look at all the hotels. Now, the hotels are not working. If their policies are due for renewal, what's going to happen?
Of course, they'll hold back.
So, what happens? Your revenue also goes down. You get it? So, having such things at the back of the mind, you need to come up and design something such that when some of these disasters strike, they are not totally out of business. I was discussing this with some colleagues of mine, and I said, you know what? Why haven't we looked at the unemployment insurance aspect? Now, this unemployment insurance would have guaranteed all the people within this stream maybe half of their salaries for the next 6 months. Okay? What is also going to happen is that these people who probably, some who may have had mortgage policies and what have you, they will be in the position to pay off their mortgage while their mortgage protection also runs. Having at the back of the mind that probably within the 6 months or just around the 6 months, we should have found our feet.
Well, that was insurance expert Aboagye-Wiafe speaking on the Executive Lounge on radio about insurance in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now moving on to other stories, the Bank of Ghana ended last year with a strong profit, a strong pickup rather in its profits. It ended 2019 with a profit of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. But despite posting these strong numbers, the bank recommended no dividend payment to government. JoyNews has been going through the annual report and joins me in the studio with more. So, George, what were the drivers of this strong pickup in profits?
Well, now, if you go to the bulky document they put out, you could see that in terms of their gold transactions, they've seen a significant improvement in their gold transactions as well. If you look at how they manage their funds in terms of expenses, even though it went up marginally, they've also been able to put some strategies in place to ensure that things haven't gotten out of hand. We've seen some fines and dividend payment to the bank itself also going up, and that in short has contributed to them posting the strong earnings coming from a year that they actually recorded a loss of about 783 million Ghana cedis. These were some of the drivers, if you go through the report, that contributed to this significant growth in profit of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis.
But despite this profit, the bank is not paying dividend to government.
Yes, of course. When you go through the act of the Bank of Ghana, government is the whole shareholder of Bank of Ghana. We were all looking forward to the fact that looking at those strong earnings that they've made, they'll pay, but they are not. Again, there isn't any official reason in the annual statement why they are doing this, but it looks like coming from a year where they had some turbulent times, they want to look at this money to try and maybe a normal business reinvest in the Bank of Ghana operations. And don't forget that this is a year that the Bank of Ghana is doing some expansion, cleaning up and all the rest, bailout funds. Even though government supported them, there were instances where the Bank of Ghana also invested some funds. So it looks like they might want to hold on to this cash put it back into the operations supervision and all the rest than paying a significant fraction of this money, 1.8 billion Ghana, that's a lot of money that are put into their business. So that could be the reason in trying to make an intelligent guess what could be the rationale behind not paying government some good dividend.
But this should have implications for shareholders.
Of course, and the shareholder being government. This is a time when government needs a lot of money. Recently, we talked about the hole in the budget, about 21 billion Ghana cedis. So if you're making 1.8 billion, even give government a fraction of that, even half of that, that would be good for government budget. But again, it was not good for government. I think that behind the scenes, government would have wished that they would have even gotten about 800 million, even half of that to help their finances. So again, government is going through quite an interesting time, and therefore this dividend not being given to government would not be good. I don't think the government itself will be pleased with that at all.
And there are other issues coming up from the annual report, issues to do with currency in circulation. What are you picking
Again, when you look at the numbers, you realize that whether it can be attributed to economic activities, because you've seen quite a significant increase in the amount of money that the Bank of Ghana puts out. Also, the Bank of Ghana's amount of money that they spend in terms of currency issuance, issuing new ones, also went up, and you're looking about 360 something million Ghana cedis. So in terms of trying to match the amount of money in circulation to economic activities, it has also gone up. We've also seen some significant increase in, let's say, some other financial institutions that are in operations as well. But on the whole, if you do a scan through the numbers, you could see that they've done quite well in terms of how the money thinks and how that is reflected in the financials of the Bank of Ghana.
And hopefully in the course of the program, we hear from the Director General of SEC on plans to pay customers of defunct fund management firms. What has he been saying?
So we've gotten some assurance from the SEC boss that they are almost through with the validation process. They are now engaging the finance ministry because they realized that there was an initial budget of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. From what the claims that they've validated so far, they're looking at somewhere around 12 billion Ghana cedis, and that is not enough. Now the plan is that government wants to pre-finance the cost of it so that later what they realize from the liquidated assets can be used to defray the cost. So they are almost through with that discussion that they have with the finance ministry. There will be an advance payment to SEC, and SEC would then look at the claims that they validated and then start making the payment to people. So all other things being equal, I mean, SEC boss is saying that they will make a decision June ending. Maybe from what we are gleaning, all other things being equal, from third quarter, there could be a calendar. It won't be a day's procedure that they will structure. Maybe this category of people will get this. So from Q3, the calendar could be in place to tell people how they're going to pay the necessary money to them.
All right, JoyNews, thanks very much indeed. I know many people will be looking forward to that payment by SEC. Thanks. Now, let's move on here tonight on Business Live. Now, banks cited for serious regulatory breaches will be named publicly and, in addition, have monetary fines. Now, this is what Joy Business is picking up from the Bank of Ghana as part of measures to improve regulation of the sector. It is coming after recent central bank investigations, which established that some banks were seriously breaching market conduct rules, resulting in customers being charged without their notice. Now, our sources say the move should also help improve market compliance and protect depositors. Meanwhile, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etienne says the regulators should go beyond naming and shaming.
It will help the banks to keep customer first, which has been absent over the years.
Doesn't this point to a certain lack of monitoring if banks were able to do this? I know right now the Bank of Ghana is reporting it. And my second question would be that we're hearing that the bank would name and shame these institutions. Is that enough?
Shaming is not just adequate. People should be sanctioned. Banks should be sanctioned for failing to do the compliance with the customer compliance.
As a customer, how should I react to this if I'm hearing of these breaches?
You know, the banks are supposed to have desk to address this compliance, but unfortunately, when you go there, I've had the same experience myself. Even somebody like me, they overcharge me when I go there. They will push here.
All right, so joining me to discuss this is banking consultant Nana Otue Champong to get some more perspective to this worrying report from the Bank of Ghana about serious regulatory breaches. Nana, I know that you have been reading through the report. What are your initial remarks on this?
I have to commend the Financial Stability Department, which was established recently, and they're doing a good job by monitoring market conduct. Now, in 2017, they issued Consumer Recourse Mechanism Guidelines. This is a guideline that dictates how customer complaints should be handled. In other jurisdictions, like in the UK, you have the Financial Ombudsman handling that, but this one is handled by Bank of Ghana, who is the regulator. And this guideline tells them certain things to do. One of them is how customers should be treated fairly. And in their report, they identified about 5 infractions where customers have not been treated fairly. One of them is the issue of early settlement of borrowing loans. When you take a loan from a bank or a financial institution and you decide to settle earlier than the maturity date, previously there have been penalties that banks have been levying at different rates, not totally uniform. Now this has been brought into uniformity by being charged not more than 0.025% of the amount involved. So these are some of the issues that they found. So I think going forward, it's good that they are coming up with this. In the Financial Ombudsman in the UK, they even compiled a league table as to the banks that are receiving the highest number of complaints. And so if they can, going forward, they can come out and give us an idea of the banks that have had these complaints against them because of different infractions of the recourse mechanism, or for that matter, any directive that they are issuing, then we'll be on the right track.
And it's important we know the banks that have flouted this, very important. And one can't help but wonder how the banks were allowed to do this. I mean, I know that it's good we are commending the central bank for coming out to report this or flag this, but how did they let this go without anybody noticing until now?
Well, as I said, this directive was issued in 2017, and since then they have been doing very well by educating the banks for them to know. My consultancy has also been doing some of this education. So I think they've given them enough rope. And if they have intimated that going forward, they will name and shame them. It will be a matter of just giving a league table that of the 23 banks, 27 savings and loans who had the highest number of complaints against them. And that will be a way to go. So I'm positive that sooner or later they will be doing that.
Right. I mean, you talk about naming and shaming. Some others are calling for much stricter sanctions against these banks that may have flouted. What do you think about that? I mean, in terms of sanctions?
What sort of sanctions? For instance, they say that in marketing and advertising, they want you to do what you promised to do in your marketing exercise. If you tell people that they will get a loan in 24 hours, then you should give them the loan in 24 hours. If they don't, what sanctions should be levied on the bank? All it will mean is that if this is brought out to the public, that bank A, when they say they will give you in 24 hours, they don't give it, then you and I will not go there anymore, or we won't believe what they are advertising. So if specifically they have done something against a specific directive, then they can be charged. But if you say that if you advertise, I'll give you a loan in 24 hours, and then they didn't disperse in 24 hours, why should we charge them for this? It's just let the public know, and then the public will decide whether they still patronize that institution or they don't.
Well, speak of the public, and my final question to you tonight, how should the public react to this? I mean, this is coming at a time we are trying to build confidence in the banking sector. Then I hear this news. How should customers take this? This
is a good way of building confidence in the system, because they're bringing this out to let the banks know that they are there for the customers, and that if they treat the customer as king, and so if they treat the customer rightly, then they will get repeat business. And getting repeat business is worth more than any form of advertising that you can think of. So I think it's good that they are bringing this out to let the banks know that they have to work within the system and guidelines that the regulator will issue to ensure that customer is treated well.
All right. Thank you so much. Nana Otuo-Champon is a banking consultant sharing his perspective on the latest Bank of Ghana report about customer protection breaches. Now, George and I were talking about the Securities and Exchange Commission saying that it will be able to decide on payment date for customers of defunct fund management firms by the end of the month. Now, according to the Commission, it is finalizing the validation process of those investors that have been affected. This would influence how payment is carried out. Here is Reverend Daniel Ogbami-Tete, who is Director General of SEC.
The liquidation process must end. Then liquidation proceeds will be used by the official liquidator to sort out the affected investors. But in this case, government has indicated that it would throw in some support. The only thing is that government wants to see a validated position. So we are still engaging with government to be able to determine exactly what they'll be doing in terms of providing, relief to support the affected investors. Now, when we are clear on these things, then we'll be in a position to make a definite announcement on when and how. Now, I am aware that a lot of people are hurting because some of them are pensioners, some of them are sick, and so on and so forth. And I had to go out to them. I just want to say that we are not oblivious to what people may be going through as a result of this, but we are working hard through the processes to be able to come up with something that would ease the pressure that people are facing in these times. I am confident that by the end of this month, I'll be able, or the SEC will be in a position to make a definite announcement. So by the end of this month, I believe that everybody should be clear as to what to expect and when to expect.
We wait till the end of the month there. Now, concerns are going about moves to create a level playing field in the telecom sector. The National Communications Authority has indicated it would enforce the provisions of the Electronic Communications Act 2008 and the National Telecommunications Policy to address what it says are glaring disparities in market share and revenue share in the sector. But analysts are concerned it may stifle competition and discourage investments. Founding president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, has been speaking to Joy Business.
Don't forget, capital is a cowardly bird and it flies to safer environment. Look, the manner in which the information itself was communicated was not proper. In terms of proper governance issues, I would have thought that these indicative, actions would have been done with your class all the time. All of a sudden, the headmaster comes and says, well, would have none of this. Let's cut off some of your marks and arbitrarily award it to all the laggards in class. And that is the way to ensure equity and fairness. That's not the point to make. And I think that the MTN itself would have to respond. I suspect they are waiting for the details as they've indicated. I'd like to mention Vodafone. They should excuse me. The government has shares in it. It is the government's own misbehavior which is responsible for the downward fortunes of Vodafone. It has nothing to do with the success of MTN. So if they are looking for any competition, trying to reduce competition, they should look inwards. In any case, why has the investment strategy of MTN
So yeah, I mean, the NCA has made the point that it wants to check monopoly in its awards. It's arguable whether or not that has any effects on the telecoms market, the fact that one telco is too powerful. How else could they have done that?
What is the definition of too powerful? Too powerful in terms of the services they are rendering to us?
All right, questions we are still seeking answers to. In other news tonight, the director of Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, Professor Abraham Kwabena, says some local medicines could be potential cure for the COVID-19 virus. Now, according to him, the institute has received some samples of local medicines which are yet to be screened. However, a major setback is funding to do proper research. He spoke to Joy Business after Intravenous Infusions Limited donated some intravenous fluids as support for the fight against COVID-19.
Professor Abraham Kwabena Annan of Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research said local medicine could provide a cure to fight the coronavirus pandemic.
There's a lot of hope because we've received quite a number of drugs that are potentially to be screened for COVID-19. And as we begin to do that, we'll be able to tell. But there is hope because it is likely that some of these potential expected products may turn out to be very, very promising and sometimes even a complete solution.
He added that the institute has received sample of local medicine for testing, but funding is a challenge.
To do the testing, I would say that it will take us a few weeks. And one of the major challenges that we have to do with testing is that usually it requires some inputs of resources. And most of the people who bring drug candidates are not capable of providing the financial support to do that. So that is one of the key challenges that usually we face.
Intravenous Infusion Limited, manufacturers of pharmaceutical products, has donated 1 million liters of intravenous fluid to support the fight against the pandemic. A director at Intravenous Infusion Limited, Samuel Apentin, said they will continue to provide support to the institute when the need arises.
We will demonstrate our preparedness to sacrifice not just for ourselves but for the whole of humanity and for the whole sub-regional concerns. So we thought we should find out how much they needed. They said they'll need about 176,000 liters between now and August. We said, you know what, we give you 1 million liters. That should take you probably to the end of the year, depending on how things go. But we will always be available to help support even further.
Samuel Apentin urged other organizations to support the institute in order to help fight the pandemic. Albert Abisiu reporting for Joy Business.